Next thing I want to talk about is our goo, our symbiotic goo. And the goo, we normally try to get away with the simple and easy things. So these were like really the very, very, very first crude tests on what goo could look like, and nobody definitely liked this. And we tried kind of procedural approaches, which basically means we tried to kind of let the computer do most of the work. But once again, this did not really have for Sam what he was looking for, which was like something much more kind of animated, menacing, intelligent, smart, and ultimately violent evil. So all of these early kind of tests were not very well received. But I mean, we normally try to do them anyway because, I mean, this is the simpler way of doing things. So what Sam wanted was something much more handcrafted, and that's when Spencer started working with these, we call them worms at the beginning. And we started building a worm system that would allow us to kind of, do something much more complex. But I mean, with this, it was clear that we can hand animate this any possible way that anybody could want. And I think these were our first kind of, attacks where like this worm system attacked the hand. And once again, Sam had given us this directive. He wanted to see the first goo shot where like, the goo attacked Spider-Man laying and it would attack his hand. Then we had E.J. Creasor basically kind of give us some conceptual drawings, and these kind of helped tremendously to kind of define actually what we were really kind of trying to achieve here. And once we had these drawings, obviously the next problem became how do we get from drawing 1 to drawing 2 and still have this look like, great animation. And once again, Spencer did an amazing job at kind of, pounding at this. First thing we normally do is kind of match the drawing. Does our worm system actually kind of, can we match a drawing? And we could. And then, we started kind of, seeing if we could kind of, get from one drawing to the next and still kind of have this look like something, intelligent and menacing. So here we've added already kind of membranes and kind of secondary stuff, and Sam liked this so much that he decided to actually put it in the movie, so he shot the scene for us. And that's when we need to normally match move the scene. And the match movers are the unsung heroes in this process because all of these match moves needed to be very, very accurate. So if they're not accurate, you basically see the goo kind of go through areas. So obviously we didn't want that. We had another team rather than our character animators work on kind of these little simulations because we wanted the goo to also kind of be physically accurate. So these were like basically little tests that we did to kind of make once again the goo much more complex. And here we're beginning to kind of render our goo already with the membranes, with the dynamics, and with all of that stuff kind of in there. And these are like all kinds of interesting looking rendering passes. And here were like our first kind of renders of the goo, and once again there was still lots of problems with texture maps, sizzling, and all that kind of stuff. And many, many weeks later we ended up with this kind of look here at the end, and that's kind of, I think, the shot as it is in the movie. Here's a much more complex shot. I mean, this one compared to the last one is probably like 5 to 6 times more difficult. But the steps are mainly the same. So this is the plate that Scott kind of helped get us on set. And this was all done on a Sony lot. And the church was filmed, I think it was filmed downtown somewhere. And so then we kind of painted the wires out because we were sure we're not going to use those. And then we decided also to kind of paint some of the body out because we knew that ultimately the kind of Venom costume was going to be behind that and that it was going to be more painful to keep that stuff in there. So here's now our match move. And luckily enough, we were smart enough to put a second camera on set, so not only did we get this from one angle, but from 2 angles, which once again helps the match mover tremendously kind of match this body. And this is what the animators saw if they turned every animation control on, which I hope they never ever did, because I wouldn't know what to animate here, to tell you the truth. A little too complex even for my taste. And Philip Kramer kind of animated this over quite some period of time, and this was rather a complex task. And the red stuff is now the secondary kind of spans and additional kind of membranes and whatever else we kind of put in to give the whole thing kind of, more body. And then we kind of convert this all into curves and kind of pipe this into Houdini and turn all those curves into metaballs. Those are those little spheres you see there. And those then kind of get blended or melded together, and they kind of create that kind of gooey kind of stuff that becomes the goo. So here's pretty much our final geometry. And here we're basically now compositing all the pieces together. We just got rid of the blue screen, color corrected the plate, put the church in. We had to put the church in twice, once on that side and once over here. And now we basically put the kind of venom body in, and now we basically put what we call the seeping into this, which is basically a transition between the cloth and now our final geometry came in. And now we put another ambient occlusion pass in there to kind of, meld it all together a little better visually. And here you see the final shot. That was only 6 months. Piece of cake.